You're listening to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, episode number 92. Welcome to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, a show anchored in reality to help you create a balanced life where you enjoy both your work and your life, because you don't have to choose. I am your host, Cecile Ferry, a corporate executive turned coach and working mom. This is your place for insights, advice, and tools to optimize your career direction, balance, and confidence. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being here. So if you press play, you have noticed that we're talking about career again. I've been doing 2 episodes in a row, and that's how I roll. Sometimes I'm going to be talking more about career. Other time will be more about mindset. Other times I'm going to talk about my life and my experiences and the changes that I'm going through. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but the common denominator is me and my teaching and my approach to career plus life. And let me take this opportunity to thank you for being a listener, especially if you've been a loyal listener of mine. Some of you reach out to me and I really appreciate it. Like, I appreciate you being here and being very loyal to the podcast. I do not take this for granted and I really appreciate you. And, especially you guys, if you listen to the podcast regularly, feel free to suggest any topics that you would like me to talk about. Chances are other people like you want to know about it. I might not always think about it. So feel free to drop me an email or just drop me a DM on Instagram at Career Catch-Up so that I can talk about things that are relevant to you. But if you are kind of looking at a new career right now, you've been a bit sitting in that space, a bit at crossroad for quite some time, today will be relevant to you. If you're super mega happy in your job, maybe not so much, but you never know. I'm pretty sure you can always learn something. So why am I here to talk about career today? It's because I have created something new for you guys. And I thought the best way to talk about it was to come on the podcast and to share in detail what it is about, and using this actual platform to give you some of the content that is in that thing. What am I talking about? I've created a new workbook. So it's a digital document. It's a PDF that you can access on my website. I'm going to put the link in the show note. If you want to keep it in mind, I will repeat it again, but it's at careercatchup.com/switch. Okay. So what is this about? It's about the mindset work that you need to do when you're thinking about your next career. The background to this is I realized I do this every single time with any new client that comes on board with me. It's part of every career coaching journey that I have done. Some clients require more mindset work than others, but everybody does. And no one tells you this. You go online and you just get facts and actions. You want a new job? This is what you do. Do this, do this, do this, do that. And the thing is, what happens is most of us don't do it because we feel blocked, because there are other things going on that really delay, postpone, block, or sabotage this action, full stop. So I will say to you, 80% of my job as a career coach is mindset related. It's just the switch. That's why I wanted to call it that way. So I have been thinking about doing a product, doing something for you guys, for all of you right now, especially I'm talking to my Australian listeners. I don't know about overseas, but I know things are tough. The cost of living is high, and I know some of you are unhappy in your jobs. I know you are ready and you want career coaching, and maybe you just can't afford it right now. And that's the reality of it. But I understand there are bigger, higher necessities ahead of it. But that's not to say you can't do anything about your career. So that's how I got the idea of doing this workbook, because I thought, what can I do that I can give to you that would be effective? Not as effective as a one-on-one session. I unfortunately can't come up with that. Maybe you believe in ChatGPT. I don't in that regard. I think nothing will replace having that personalized, qualified help for you. But if that's not available to you right now, I thought, what can I do that will be proven, that will be effective, that's 100% tangible and turning into result, that will help you go and move forward from where you are. So that's where this workbook is coming into play. And the workbook actually tackles all the blocks that you can possibly have when you're thinking about changing job or changing career, going for your next step, basically making any kind of a change in your professional situation. And I'm pretty confident that I've got every single block covered. And I've said to you in the workbook, if I don't, please drop me an email. I'd love to help you with a new one. But I've been doing this job for now 7.5 years. I have coached hundreds of people from different industries, different levels, different countries, different gender, different everything. And I can tell you, I've done the rounds and I know what those blocks are. So I thought now is a great time to kind of encapsulate all of those blocks and give you a practical method that you can do on your own to work on those. I'm going to cover 5 main blocks that are in that workbook, but there are plenty more. I've actually listed 15 categories, okay? So I'm going to cover the top third, if you like, today. See if it resonates with you. And afterwards, I really invite you to go and check out the workbook. And you can download it, you can purchase it. So there is a launch price right now for the next 2 weeks. So if you're listening to this in time live in May, go for it because there's a launch price offer. From June 2024, the price will go to its normal price. So, and to be honest, like the launch price is 39 Australian dollars and then it will go to 59 Australian dollars. So we're talking something really reasonable here. And what I love is it's a bit like coaching in a pill to help you with your mindset. And I put everything I know and my heart and soul into that. And I'm very confident that the way that I have designed this workbook will work for you. So let me now get into the 5 main blocks when you're looking at a new career. And hopefully that will resonate with you. And we can talk towards the end more about the practical details of that workbook. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Okay, so block number 1, I've got 5 to get through. When you're looking at a new career, and by the way, the blocks I'm talking about, I work predominantly with women, but it's the same with men. They may not have the same priority level for them or the same importance, but it's true, they just really apply to everybody. But the main one that I hear first up is around competence. So when we're looking at something else, something new, sometimes we know what it's like, we straight away have those fears, those questions, those negative stories around, do I have what it takes? Like, I don't feel that I'm going to be competent enough. I don't think that I'm going to be qualified enough for that. What if I'm not? You know, this whole imposter syndrome, that's like the full version of that. But that fear of not being able to perform in the job and not know really how to do this job, which is normal because it's a next step, right? So, and the problem is, we live in a world where we like to know. We want to know, and we want to know ahead of time so that we avoid failing. And that would be really, really convenient. But life doesn't work this way. Like, were you competent as a mom before becoming a mom? No, but there's no other path. But with career, we have that little block, that very sneaky little story that kind of tells us maybe there's a way we can prepare ourselves. And therefore, we need more qualifications, we need more training, we need more practice. But the problem is that block will hold us back because we actually don't take action, we don't move forward, and we don't start planning our next step because we are hanging in there. We're waiting to feel competent. And when does that come? It comes when we're in the new job and we've been doing it for over 6 months. And it might be years, right? So when I became a coach, do I have this block? I did to some extent because I didn't know how to be a coach. I'd never done that, but I didn't let that one block me. I had many others, don't you worry. And, obviously you can get a qualification that helps, but it's not going to fill all the blanks. And practice well. That's what it is. So the kicker as well to this one is if you have perfectionist tendencies, hello, that makes it even harder because you really feel like you want a level of skill that's really high in order for you to be satisfied with going into that kind of job. In my world, for instance, it would have been like, well, I want to be a good coach. I want to be like a great coach. I want from the get-go, if possible, please. So we just mean really well, obviously, but this is a major block to us deciding on the next career direction. And if you like, it's too ahead of time. We jump the gun and we're like, well, I don't have everything that it takes. I don't know everything. This is coming from a very rational, sensible part of us. Yes, it's logical, it's valid, but that's not a reason not to move forward. So I talk about it in the workbook. You need to look at the skills that are really needed. You need to have a good hard look at your current skills and what's transferable. And you need to start relooking at the relationship that you have with the concept of the expert. You think you have imposter syndrome because you think you need to know everything. You think you need to be really competent and that there is no room for learning. There's some growth mindset stuff behind all of that as well, so you may approach things with a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset, you need to be qualified, but you can learn on the job, right? So if that's you, don't worry. Most people have this block and it can be worked through. Block number 2 is change. In other words, fear of change. So we do have, every time we're looking at something decently new, every time we're looking at something that's quite new, but something big in our life, like a new home, a new relationship, a new job, those things are big. They can really define our identity and they give us energy in our life. Like they're core foundations to our personality. For most people, some people, work isn't a big defining dimension of their personality. That's not who they are. That's not their makeup. And it's completely fine. They will find fulfillment in other parts of their life through their community, their friendship, through their spirituality, through, their finances, their health, like any other opportunities. But for a lot of us, work is an important arena to achieve ourselves, to have our purpose. So when we're making a change there, alert. It's big deal. There are things at stake. It's, our life satisfaction, our life enjoyment. So that block is very normal as well, but it's basically we are thinking, oh my God, change. If I change, we try to project and we get afraid. That's the fear of the unknown and the fear of the change itself, something new. We are like, I'm not ready. By the way, who is ever ready for change? We're like, I'm not sure I will like it. I'm not sure if it will work out. Like all of these, absolute, sometimes full on dreadful thoughts, scary thought, or just like a bad vibe, not feeling comfortable because we are risk averse. We're human. We are there to learn how to survive and we'll rather stay in the cave than go out and explore what's out there. So I talk a lot about this with my clients. So you would be in good company. Like we all are right now, where you are right now is your comfort zone. It's the job that you know. So the minute you're going to do a change, you're going to be out of your comfort zone and something would be very wrong with you if you didn't have fears. You will be some kind of a psychopath, right? So it's very normal that you are triggered and you are having the fears. So first step, having that awareness. But in order to still move forward because you're not going to kick that fear in the gut and not have it anymore. But the trick is to act in spite of that fear of change. And it's really before you start anything that the fear is the biggest, because you've got all these preconceived ideas and perceptions about how terrible it will be. And that's when they are at their biggest, right? Those fears. The minute you start doing things, you start shrinking and dissolving those fears. One thing that I have already spoken about on the podcast that I love to do is ahead of a change, I love to list, and that's career or life in general, I love to list all the thoughts that I have about the change. Because afterwards, I always love to go back to it and nearly laugh at myself how wrong I was. Because I've done it several times, I don't take my fears so seriously. I'm like, fair enough. Of course, I don't want to do it. It's a change. So if you haven't listened to it yet, I'll link in the show note. I did a whole episode of going in the discomfort zone. I think that's a really good segue to this blog. But here I will say, if you have that block, you really need to challenge yourself around your comfort levels and about what is your life. Is your life to be comfortable in the same spot, or is your life about growing, which means you're going to be uncomfortable? Like, are you ready to be on the change journey anywhere in your life? And P.S., sometimes we're not ready, but life anywhere is a flow of change. I also talked about career journeys and redirection. That's another episode I will link. That talks to how just life does this, right? So that can bring you a lot of comfort and peace. And in the discomfort zone, I give you some tools on how to actually move past that. In the workbook, I give you questions to get you unstuck about your fear of change and seeing it for what it is, but not letting it block you. Okay, we are on to block number 3. That's one I used to have, and I sometimes still do have. I've called it the self-doubt / lack of self-trust. So this is where we're like not trusting ourselves. We're doubting ourselves. We're thinking, I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. Like if we know what we kind of want to do, then we're going to start doubting ourselves. Like, what if I don't know? What if this isn't right for me? What if this doesn't fit in with my personality? What if I don't end up enjoying it? What is it really my goal? Like we are like this doubter. It's like someone tells us, you're going to be doing this. And then we are like, really? Like, how do you know? How do I know for sure? That may not be you, but I resonate hugely with that. And I remember my career coach at the time really pointing it out. We know quite often, but then we actually start doubting ourselves. Again, that's a protection mechanism. That's because we don't want to be disappointed. We do not want to fail. And to be honest, it comes from a root in ourselves where we are lacking some self-trust. So that's a big deal. And that's one that I relate to be honest. And you can be very confident. That is different. But, you can be confident doing things and talking to people about what you want to do. But being able to trust in knowing yourself, what's right for you, that's different from being confident in the world. So that's like being confident with yourself, so to speak, but it's really that trust. And it's like you'll be able to take a bet on yourself ahead of yourself and be like taking yourself by the hand and doing it. I don't know you, but this skill wasn't taught to me as a child. And why this can happen sometimes to us as children is like we may have an authority, a mother, a father, someone who raised us that tends to have a very strong influence, a very strong dominant voice, because they feel very strongly and they sometimes impose their views, but they really have a way over you, and obviously you trust them a lot, but it's at the detriment, like they don't help you build that muscle of trusting yourself, because very often they have their own point of view and they want you to adopt it, if that makes sense. So if you like, you may have been a little untrained or deprived of that natural skill where you learn by yourself, and then you feel like, you know what? You're good at hit and miss, and you're good at trying and learning, and you just know, right? And you know what? It's never too late. It's a muscle I've been rebuilding, I've been working on, and it comes. It really comes. So it can play up with career, because you're like, oh, you know, especially like, you know, you're not going to go and ask your parents or someone else for what you want to do. So you're like, I should know, I should do it myself. But you can find it challenging, because you're not sure that you know what's the best for yourself. And that's a very valid fear. So the work here is really to build a very strong foundational sense of self. And I would even say that if you've got that block in career, it's likely to also show up in other parts of your life, where you think you know what you want, or you know you're chasing something but it's not really happening. This is probably because deep down you don't have that foundational self that knows what it wants and feels like everything will be fine. So it's work to do anyhow, because if you do it once, and it will play up in your career, but it can also play up in your relationship, in your finances, right? If you know how to do things, kind of thing, you know? If you know you're cluey, if you know you can trust your instinct and your vision and your desires, you watch out. Like your life will really start blooming a lot more, okay? So there's a section in the workbook to talk about that. Block number 4, I hear a lot too, is what I've called self-knowledge. It's basically saying, I don't know what I want to do next. I really have no ideas. I don't even know where to start. It's that kind of spinning in indecision, in confusion, and really feeling like we don't have the answer. So if that's you, welcome. A lot of my clients come to me and say that. And little spoiler alert, it's not true. But there are things that are covering up you knowing. Like the answers are always within us. And I know I was one of them. But we tend to do that again because we are afraid of knowing. Because if we knew, we'll have to do something about it and chase it. And then maybe we'll have other fears there. So not knowing actually subconsciously serves us. Because we don't have to do anything. We don't have to go after it. And it justifies being stuck and not moving. Right? See how clever our little mind can be to keep us safe? It's like, well, we don't know. And when we try to seek for it, we don't know. Because also, fair enough, we haven't asked ourselves that question for a very long time. It's not something that we've learned, that we've got skills. There are books about that, right? But we don't practice that. Even like, how much do you know yourself? Do you know your taste? Do you know what you really enjoy? Like, it's not stuff we do in our day-to-day. We really need to use journaling. We need to use specific books, exercises, prompts, to work on that. And we need to sit down and make space in our life to do that. So yes, it's normal, it's happening, but is it true? It's not true. And the key here is to access that voice in you that has the answer, and to connect with your inner self, your inner wisdom, your inner guidance, your inner mentor, right? That knows. And in order to do that, everyone is a bit different. It could be like some of you need to remove the inner critic that's just yelling over the top or telling you it's not going to work. So it could be that, or it could be really about connecting with yourself and feeling like, you know, that connection that with yourself, that deep, intimate knowledge of yourself, because that hasn't been encouraged or shown to you or demonstrated in the past. So you're just a complete newbie to this, so to speak. So it could be different ways why this is happening. But what's really important here is actually to get curious and to challenge that belief that you don't know. And like, okay, what else is sitting between me and the answer? Okay, we are getting to the final main block I want to talk about here. I would say it probably apply more often than not to women. You've guessed it, the last block is about flexibility and work-life integration, specifically work-life balance. I hear a lot when we are planning the next step, some fears around losing the flexibility that you are enjoying. Because let's face it, it happens sometimes, those new career stages happen when we've had a change in our life, and especially we've been raising children, we return to work and we're like, what do I do? Or we're in that phase in our life where we have young children, and it's super important to be there and to be part of their life and to emotionally support them. Like, you can't just be 100% on your job unless that's what fulfills you, of course. So we all need flexibility, and thank goodness we are making big progress in that space across many industries. And so some of us already enjoy it, and then we're like, well, when we're looking at doing something else that's usually for us better, we tend to think we're going to lose it. It's going to be much harder to keep it. And also, like, the kind of stories that revolve around this idea of balance as well is that we think we're going to be working very hard potentially. So I'm hearing things like, I don't want a challenging job. I don't want to give it everything. I want to keep my flexibility. As if it's one or the other. Interesting thinking, isn't it? Because we are like thinking going back or changing equals hard or harder, more work. Where did we get that idea? Is it true? No, it's because we are afraid to lose what we have, because we value it. So that's great. We know it works for us. It really strengthens our fulfillment. It's in alignment with us, that flexibility. But that doesn't mean we can't have it in the next job, and especially in the job that is better for us. It's a massive block that I hear a lot. And trust me, it's just a block. It's not true. I am the perfect example of that, because I don't have that block. And I have been changing roles, and I've been designing my life, evolving with it professionally, and always kept the flexibility when I needed it in any shape or form. So, because I don't have the belief that it's not possible. If you have the belief that it's impossible, you will see reality that matches that. But that's why you need to do the work to remove this belief. And I do it a lot with women. And we look at why is going back gonna mean working harder. You know, tell me why you can't have the flexibility is a big question I often ask, right? It's, again, a perception that we have. So I hope that, maybe this one has resonated with you. And unfortunately, that block can really hold us back. And we can have, as I said, the result that match. If we really stay believing this, believing that it's not possible, that it's a fantasy, or that you don't deserve it as well, like, you will have reality that match that. And you will limit yourself. And I guarantee you, like, it can be right the other way. You can have it, but you need to believe in that side of the truth first. So if that's one block that really relates to you, is covered in the workbook. So I've spoken about the 5 main blocks here. So just to recap, we've spoken about the fear of not being competent. We've spoken about the fear of change or fear of the unknown. We've spoken about a lack of self-trust. We've spoken about not knowing what it is that we want to do, a lack of self-knowledge. And we've spoken about the fear of losing work-life balance or flexibility. There are many more. In fact, there are about 15 in the workbook. I have grouped them, some of them, but some other example I can share with you here. There's some blocks around your age or how long you've been out of the job market for, or you've not been looking for, the stage of the employment market, or about specific industries, blocks around not having enough time or energy to do it, not being ready for a leadership position. There are blocks around money, how much that's going to cost, or the impact on your finances. And there are also blocks if you are looking at maybe doing a new business, a new venture on your own. There's lots of specific blocks that come up for that based on being previously in a corporate or government job, about how you do the transition and how different it is and what you need to know and all of that. So I hope I've opened the Pandora box here. Like, these are things I really work in depth with my client one-on-one. I will say it here again, one-on-one is still the best way to get those answers for yourself and to move through those blocks really fast. And then one-on-one, we do a lot more than that. We address the blocks as they come up, if you like. There's a process I follow with all my clients, and some of them get blocked really early, some it's in the middle, some it's towards the end when things start to get quite concrete. And then there's do I deserve this? What if? When they get to interview stage, that's when they have the imposter syndrome. Everyone is different. But some of them, it's like they can't even get started, and that can be you. So if that's you, I would always say, one-on-one is the Rolls Royce. It's the royal treatment. And if you can, have a look at my website, on my pages with my career coaching packages. And if these are within your means, I highly recommend you do this. And the next step is to book a discovery call with me. We get on Zoom for 30 minutes and we talk about your situation. So you can ask all your questions. You can understand if this feels right to you before you commit, and your choice from there. Now, if you're like, I can't, Cecile, this isn't for me right now, but I really want to work on this on my own, then the workbook is a great starting place for you. And I hope I have really managed to convey all that value in this episode. So how to get it, again, it's at careercatchup.com/switch. You get on the page, you just click there, it's very easy. And then once you've purchased it, you will get access instantly to the document, and you also have a link in your inbox to download it. And it's got about 40 pages, and it's got a table of content, so you can work out which blocks apply to you. And each block has the same format. I will describe examples of thoughts and stories that literally in the words of my clients, so you know, is this me or not? Then I'll give you my diagnosis. And then I give you some very powerful questions. So that's what I will bring up typically in the session, that make you rethink, that make you challenge your thinking, that make you open up your mind in a different direction. And that's the switch. And then I give you some positive reframes. There's no point me giving you reframes if you haven't done the mental work yourself, because they won't feel true. It's just a token. There's no point. People say to you, put affirmation on your desktop. Well, if you haven't done the switch mentally, you don't believe the affirmation. So that's what my workbook takes you through the whole process. And once you've done that, you're done. You will never go back thinking the old way. So that's kind of really the main value of this exercise. And that alone can propel you forward so much. I've seen clients being like, woo, once we've done with the mindset blocks, they're just on fire. So if this sounds good, go to the website. I'm going to put the link in the show note and grab the intro price. Right now it's $39. So I'm very passionate about helping you guys do it, and especially if you can do it on your own. This is what I live for as a coach. I want to unblock you. This is what a coach does. So I've really tried to do it as best as I can in this DIY format, and I really believe it works. So go and check it out for yourself. And then if you use the workbook, I would be extremely grateful if you could drop me a line. There's a link in there to tell me what it did for you, because I really want to close the loop and hear back on your own shift, because I guarantee you they will be there. So thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you can enjoy this resource and you can start to really see things differently and not let your mindset and those thoughts hold you back, block it from being in this amazing, new, exciting career that's waiting ahead of you. All right, my friends, have a beautiful week and I'll speak with you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to find out more information, you can visit my website at careercatchup.com. There you will find blog articles, free resources, a self-study course for your career direction, and ways to work with me. It's at careercatchup.com. I hope to continue to connect with you and support you. Talk to you soon.